Hi, hello guys, welcome back to Empower Tutorials. This is your master teacher, Dr. Sonam. So, I'm back with another amazing session of MCQs that we've just begun in the last session. So, all those who are hearing my lecture for the first time, I am Dr. Sonam from Empower Tutorials and I take biology. So, we've started with something very new. We usually have our theory classes like for all the standards and everything. But now, what we've done is we've started with MCQ classes. Okay, that is to basically give you all a gist of all the MCQs, the difficult ones, the easy ones, and all kind of MCQs. Okay, that are going to be a part of your syllabus right now, or you can say the type of the pattern of your paper that has changed now. So according to that, we have come up with these MCQs. So I have already taken one session on the MCQs of the first chapter of biology that we have, which is life processes. So I'm here with another session. So let's quickly get through those MCQs. Some of them might be just repeated what we have already seen in the last session, but never mind. It'll just be another revision for us. So, okay, let's get started. Chalo. Let's begin. I'm unsure if you all are able to. It's visible, right? Okay. Anyways, I'll be reading it aloud, so it won't be an issue. So to begin with, just give me a minute. I'll just put this aside. Yes. Okay. So now the first one. In which group of organisms the food material is broken outside the body? Okay. Now there are going to be some organisms where the food probably gets completely all digested and broken down. Like for example, us. Okay, we as human beings, food material in our body gets digested, ingested, broken down into simpler substances inside the body, right? So now here we are talking about the organisms in which the food material is broken inside the body. Yes. So what is going to be the answer for this? Yes, anyone? Right. So the answer to this is going to be B, that is yeast, mushroom, and bread mold. Okay. So in organisms like yeast, mushroom, and bread mold, the food material is going to be broken down inside the bodies. Okay. Just keep this in mind. Okay. Going ahead. Yes. Second one, select the correct statement. Okay. Now there are about 4 statements which are given and which are all given about heterotrophs. Okay. So let's see now. First one is heterotrophs make their food. Okay, heterotrophs make their food. Second one, heterotrophs utilize the solar energy to make food. First one may it says they make food. Second one may they say that they use solar energy to make food. Third one they say heterotrophs do not make their own food. Okay, and fourth point may they say heterotrophs are capable of converting carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates. Okay, now firstly, only and only if you know the answer we can discuss the other points, right? So we have studied all different modes of nutrition. What are autotrophs, what are heterotrophs? Last class we also saw what is the saprotrophic mode of nutrition, what is parasitic. We also saw what is holozoic, right? So we know according to all our basic knowledge that autotrophs are some organisms which make their own food, they synthesize their own food, and heterotrophs will depend on others. That means, which means what? Which means heterotrophs do not make their food. So answer to our question is option number C, which says heterotrophs do not make their own food. Okay. Now, first one, if they don't make their own food, the first wala hai make their food, it's going to be omitted. Utilize solar energy. They are not making food only, so forget about utilizing. And last one is they are capable of converting CO2 and water into carbohydrates. Now this is nothing but the process that happens in photosynthesis, but it is done by the plants which are completely pure autotrophs. Okay, kids, are we clear with this? It is not the heterotrophs who do this reaction and convert into carbohydrates, but it is the autotrophs which are the plants, right? Okay, going ahead. Which of the following statements about autotrophs is correct? Okay, now we have come to autotrophs. Is about autotrophs is incorrect. Okay, now we have to select the incorrect statement, which means 3 are going to be correct. Okay, so let's go to the first one. They synthesize carbohydrates by using carbon dioxide, water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Okay, now this is clear cut, the photosynthesis ka reaction which they have given us in the first point. Second one is they store carbohydrates in the form of starch. right? Yes, plants store carbohydrates in the form of starch, which is also correct. Next one is they convert carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates in the absence of sunlight. Okay. Now, first wala or third wala statement are, ulta. First wale mein they have given it is in the presence of sunlight, which we have accepted is true. Which means obviously the third one, in which they say they are doing all this in the absence of sunlight, which is wrong. So that means this is going to be our answer because we have to select the incorrect statement. Okay. So, and let's also look at the fourth statement. Fourth statement, it says they form the first trophic level in the food chain. Right? We have also seen this in our theory classes. What happens in the food chain? First wala kaun sa rehta hai organism? It is nothing but the plants, or which are the autotrophs. So yes, autotrophs form the first level of food chain. So the third one is the wrong statement. Okay, going to the fourth one. Which of these reactions occur in photosynthesis? CO2 is reduced and water is oxidized. Water is oxidized and water is reduced and CO2 is oxidized. Carbon dioxide and water both are oxidized, or carbon dioxide and water both are reduced. Okay, now you will be able to answer this when you know what is reduction and what is oxidation. Okay. Now let me tell you, firstly, there are going to be these two reactions. One is the reduction reaction and one is the oxidation reaction. Okay. These two reactions, when they happen together or when they happen simultaneously, it is known as a redox reaction. Okay, so remember this. Photosynthesis is a redox reaction. Okay, photosynthesis is a redox reaction because उसमें reduction and oxidation दोनों simultaneously होता है. ठीक है. Now coming to what is reduction and what is oxidation. In simpler terms, let me explain it to you. Reduction is the loss of electrons and oxidation is the gain of electrons. Okay, so reduction is loss, oxidation is gain. Now, what is happening? You can say electrons or you can even say oxygen. Okay, reduction mein there is loss of oxygen and oxidation mein there is gain of oxygen. Okay, now यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? CO2 is usually broken down, right? हमारे photosynthesis में CO2 breaks down, right? And water is definitely getting oxidized because water, what is water giving us later? Water is giving us oxygen, right? It is giving us oxygen gas. The products I'm talking about, right? So we are getting oxygen gas in the products, right? In the form of either we have it in the form of nascent oxygen, but in our photosynthesis reaction, we have it as the O2 gas, right? So, which means the correct answer to this is carbon dioxide is reduced and water is oxidized. Okay, keep this in mind. This is really very important in the part of photosynthesis ka reaction. Okay, going to the next one. A few drops of iodine solution were added to rice water. The solution turned blue-black in color. This indicates that the rice water has complex proteins, simple proteins, starch, or fats. Okay. Now, if you all have gone through my theory lectures on photosynthesis, I have explained few experiments in my last session of photosynthesis where we actually perform these experiments. We have used the iodine solution. Then we prove about the presence of chlorophyll. We prove about the liberation of oxygen gas post photosynthesis. Okay. So in that, we have seen one experiment in which we know that when iodine reacts with the leaves of the plant, okay, part of the leaf of the plant will turn blue-black. Okay, so when that part is turning blue-black, that is indicating the presence of starch. Okay, now it should just pop up in your mind like this, because we know that carbohydrates or say starch are present in plants. Plants are giving us carbohydrates because there is starch present in them, right? So just remember, iodine solution, when it reacts with starch, it will give a blue-black color. Okay, and when there is no starch present, it gives a brownish red color. Okay, just remember this reaction. Okay, coming to the next one. What is the correct sequence? Okay, the correct sequence of our digestive system or of the alimentary canal, you can say we have seen this MCQ, I think, in the last session as well, right? So what is the correct sequence? First is the mouth, then is the esophagus, then is the stomach, then is the small intestine, and then is the large intestine, right? So D is the correct option. We have seen this MCQ in our last class as well. Okay, so please keep this in mind. Don't jumble up between any of the. Some people really get confused कि mouth से directly stomach में जाता है. So don't do that. Okay, don't do that confusion. Just keep it in mind. Okay, next one. If salivary amylase is lacking in the saliva, which of the event in the mouth will be affected? I think we have also seen this one in the last session. So first one is proteins breaking down into amino acids. Okay, just give me a minute. I think I'll have to clear this and go to the next page. Okay. Yes. Okay. Starch breaking down into sugar, fats absorbing or breaking down into fatty acids and glycerol, and absorption of vitamins. Okay. So yes, we have seen this MCQ in the last class as well. So the answer to this is starch breaking down into sugar. Okay. If salivary amylase is lacking, then starch will not be able to break down into sugar, will not be able to break down into the simpler form. Okay. Yes. Going to the next one. The inner lining of the stomach is protected by one of the following from the hydrochloric acid. Choose the correct one. Okay. Now, in our body, there are a lot of acids which are released. Okay. Hydrochloric acid is one of them. When we are having food, when our food is getting digested, it is going to release acids. Okay. So, if there is no protective layering, or if there is no protective covering on the inner side of our stomach, these acids, okay, the acids which are released, these acids can harm the tissues over there, right? So because of that, there is a secretion, you can say, in the inner lining of the stomach, which basically protects it from the acid, from the HCl or the hydrochloric acid. Okay. So what is that? Yes. See, we should know salivary amylase and pepsin are enzymes. Okay. Bile is a fluid, it is a secretion, but it has nothing to do with the stomach. Okay, we should know this. Bile definitely helps in digestion, but it does not play any protective function. So the answer to this is mucus. Okay, mucus is present in the inner lining of the stomach, and it is protected, and it protects the inner lining of the stomach from the hydrochloric acid. Okay, so going to the next one. Which part of the alimentary canal receives bile from the liver? Yes, which part of the alimentary canal receives bile from the liver? Firstly, what is bile? Yes, bile is a fluid which is basically going to help us in digestion. Now, where it is formed, where it is stored? Yes, can anyone tell me? Yes, yes, it is secreted, or you can say released from the liver, definitely. But where is it stored? See, what is this saying? It receives bile from liver, which means we know that bile is getting secreted from the liver. ठीक है, अभी liver से वो कहाँ आता है? So let me tell you, from the liver it comes and rests in the small intestine. Meaning small intestine is a part of the alimentary canal which receives bile. From the liver it comes to the small intestine. And remember that this bile or this fluid is stored in the gallbladder. Okay, it is secreted or released from the liver. Then while it is going to the alimentary canal, it is going into the small intestine first, and then it is getting stored in the gallbladder. Okay. Okay, chalo, next one. In which part of the alimentary canal the food is finally digested? Yes. Where is it going to be? Yes, it is nowhere else, but again the small intestine is the answer to this. Food will get completely digested in the small intestine. Okay. Yes. Going to the 11th one, choose the function of the pancreatic juice from the following. Okay, now there are basically two enzymes which we are talking about. One is trypsin and one is lipase. Okay, so what does it do? Tell me. Yes, what is the function of trypsin and what is the function of lipase? Always remember TP. Okay, TP. You can remember it as a company name. TP is a company name. TP stands for time pass. Just remember it like that. Trypsin deals with proteins. Okay, just remember the answer to this is going to be D. I'm telling you, trypsin will always deal with proteins and lipase will always digest fats. Okay, trypsin will deal with proteins. That means trypsin will digest proteins and lipase will always digest the fats. Just keep this in mind. Trypsin एक भी याद रखोगे तो दूसरा वाला you will automatically know. Lipase has something to do with lipids. Okay, lipids again has something to do with fats. So with that correlation, you can remember that trypsin digests the proteins and lipase will digest the fats. Okay, okay, going next now. Select the correct sequence of anaerobic respiration. Okay, now we have really dealt with aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration in complete detail. Okay, in our last session. So again, I will not be going into the details. I will just give you in a very short gist. Okay. First, let's do this. Correct sequence of anaerobic respiration. Yes. What is the correct sequence of anaerobic respiration? What happens in anaerobic respiration firstly? Yes. So the anaerobic respiration firstly takes place in the, yes, where does it take place? Glycolysis, anaerobic respiration or glycolysis. Where will it take place? Yes. Right. It will take place in the cytoplasm. So what is happening is glucose will break down into two pyruvate molecules. Okay. Glucose will break down into two pyruvate molecules, and further it will also release the lactic acid. Okay. And also remember, lactic acid is the acid which is or lactic acid is a, say, liquid or a fluid which is responsible for causing cramps in our body. Okay. So anaerobic respiration take or glycolysis. Glycolysis is what? Lysis means breakdown. Glyco is glucose. So glucose is breaking down. So this glucose breaking down or glycolysis is taking place in the cytoplasm, which is anaerobic respiration. Okay. Remember this. Next one. The pancreatic juice does not contain the following enzyme. Okay. So now we have earlier seen ट्रिप्सिन हमने देखा प्रोटीन के साथ डील करता है, लाइपेज हमने देखा फैट के साथ डील करता है, एंड ऑल्सो अमाइलेज, ओके, इज ऑल्सो अ पैनक्रियाटिक जूस. नाउ व्हाट इज टाइलिन? ओके, yes, what is टाइलिन? Now टाइलिन is a enzyme which is not contained in the pancreatic juice. Okay, it is not an enzyme basically present in the pancreatic juice. It definitely plays a role in the digestion, but it is not a part of the pancreatic juice. Okay? Yes, going ahead. Now the pancreas pour their secretions into, yes, where do the pancreas pour their secretions? Small intestine, large intestine. बाकी के दो options क्या हैं? Stomach or duodenum? Yes, this is important. A different one. Where will they pour their secretions? The pancreas. Always remember, the pancreas will pour their secretions into the duodenum, which is the part of the stomach. Okay, they will pour their secretions into the duodenum. Okay, remember this. Next one, coming to the 15th one. Very easy. This is the kidneys in the human beings are a part of not nutrition, not respiration, not circulation. They are a part of excretion. Yes. Next. The opening and closing of stomatal pore depends on oxygen, water content in the guard cells, concentration of CO2 in the stomata, or temperature. Yes, we have spoken about opening and closing of the stomata. We saw that, it is going to be, it is ideally going to be like this. Side mein hote hai uski guard cells. Okay, let me show you again. We have seen this in the last class as well. It will have kidney shaped or bean shaped cells at the side, and these cells are known as guard cells. Okay, these two cells are going to be known as the guard cells, and this area is going to be known as the stomatal pore. Okay, so stomatal pore and guard cells. So ये जो stomata का opening and closing होता है, this depends on what? Yes, yes. Now we have seen जब close होता है तो गार्ड सेल्स जो है वो श्रिंक हो जाते हैं, और जब ओपन होता है तो गार्ड सेल्स हेवी हो जाते हैं, स्वेल हो जाते हैं. Now why would they swell? They would swell because of the water inside the cells. They will shrink because the water has gone out of the cells, right? So the opening and the closing of the stomatal pore depends on the presence of water in the guard cells. Okay, so the answer to this is B. Yes, going to the next one. In the human digestive system, the enzymes pepsin and trypsin are secreted by. Yes, pepsin and trypsin are secreted by. Correct. Tell me the answer now, quickly. Yes. What is going to be the answer? Pepsin and trypsin. Yes, the answer to this is stomach and pancreas. Okay. Pepsin is secreted by the stomach and trypsin is secreted by the pancreas. Okay. Both of them are important enzymes. We have seen trypsin is dealing basically with proteins. We saw that trypsin is digesting the proteins. So remember, pepsin is secreted by the stomach and trypsin is secreted by the pancreas. Okay. Yes, going ahead. Which of the statements is correct regarding bile? Now we have discussed a little bit about bile. Now let's see. Secreted by the duct and stored in the liver. Secreted by the liver and stored in the bile duct. Secreted by the liver and stored in the gallbladder. Secreted by the gallbladder and stored in the liver. Yes, just remember one thing. It is stored in the gallbladder. Stored in the gallbladder has one option. So the answer to this is C. Even if you don't know from where it is secreted, it is stored in the gallbladder. Okay. So remember, bile is always secreted from the liver and it is stored in the gallbladder. And what we saw in the earlier MCQ, what was that? जब elementary canal में enter होता है bile, तो पहले कहाँ जाता है? पहले में it will go to the small intestine. Okay. Is that clear? Yes. Going ahead. Which of the following components of food is digested by the salivary amylase? Yes, salivary amylase का क्या digestion करता है? Salivary amylase will digest what? Yes. See, always remember, salivary amylase is the first enzyme which is getting in interaction with the food particles. ठीक है? So what happens is, it is the first enzyme which is reacting with the food particles. So, जो first वाला food particle होगा, that is going to be the basic form of food that we consume. So, it is always going to be carbohydrates. ठीक है? Just keep this in mind. It is going to be the carbohydrates which are going to come in contact with the salivary amylase. Okay? Yes. Where are proteins first digested? Yes. Where are proteins first digested? Proteins are first digested in the mouth. Okay? Just remember this, proteins are first digested in the mouth. Next, which is the first enzyme that mixes with food? We just now saw it. It is the salivary amylase, which is the first enzyme which mixes with food. Okay, are we clear? Yes. Coming to the next one. The cellular energy reserves in autotrophs are. Yes, autotrophs means we are talking or dealing about plants. Correct. Now, what is present in the plants? Correct. Starch is also present in the plants, but we are talking about the cellular energy reserves. Yes, cellular energy reserves. So, yes, cellular energy reserves are going to be present in the form of glycogen in the plants. Okay, are we clear with this? Yes, going forward. The autotrophs require. Okay, what all things do they require now? The reaction starts with CO2 and water. They also need chlorophyll. They also need sunlight. So which means the autotrophs require all of the above things. Going ahead, the breakdown of pyruvate into carbon dioxide, energy and water takes place in. अभी हमने earlier जो देखा, that was the breakdown of glucose into pyruvate and lactic acid. ठीक है? अब ये हो रहा था cytoplasm में, which was the anaerobic respiration. अभी this, the breakdown of pyruvate is nothing but the aerobic respiration, and the pyruvate will further break down into carbon dioxide, ATP and water, and this will happen in the mitochondria. Okay, which is the powerhouse of the cell. ठीक है? Are we clear with this? Yes. When air is blown through lime water, it turns milky because of. Yes. You must have heard about this. You all must have seen this experiment also. We've dealt with this in our earlier classes also. What happens is, when we blow air into the lime water, it will turn milky because of, okay, very simple thing. Candle hum light karte hain. When we blow it, the candle will go off. Why does it go off? Because of which gas does it go off? What are we, when we are blowing, what are we exhaling? Right. We are exhaling carbon dioxide, right? So carbon dioxide is causing the candle to blow off. Similarly, it is going to be the carbon dioxide here as well, which is turning the lime water milky. Now I'll tell you the reaction to this. I'll write it here, okay? So the reaction to this is CaOH twice, okay, which is calcium hydroxide, okay? Calcium hydroxide is reacting. Calcium hydroxide is reacting with the CO2 gas that we have exhaled, okay, and it is giving out. What is it going to give out? Yes, it is going to form CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, okay, calcium carbonate. So plus what? Plus it's going to give out water. Forget water. Yes, so calcium hydroxide ठीक है, is reacting with the carbon dioxide. Calcium hydroxide is this calcium hydroxide कहाँ से आ रही है? Yes, calcium hydroxide is present in the lime water. ठीक है, so calcium hydroxide is reacting with the CO2 which we are exhaling because of the gas which we are blowing or the air which we are blowing in the lime water, and that is forming calcium carbonate. अब calcium carbonate होता है milky. That is why the lime water turns milky. Have you got it? This is the reaction of the lime water turning milky when carbon dioxide air is blown into it. Okay, so it is CaOH2, that is calcium hydroxide, plus CO2, which is carbon dioxide, will form CaCO3, that is the calcium carbonate, plus water. So calcium carbonate, because it is milky, it will also turn the lime water milky. Okay, guys, are we clear with this? Yes. So yes, I think that is towards the end of this session. Yes, and we have dealt with another 25 MCQs. So I will definitely be coming up. I'm trying to get more MCQs on this chapter as it is an important chapter. There are going to be very minute MCQs which we might just neglect while we are going through the theory part. So yes, I am working on it. I will definitely come up with probably one more session on life processes and probably another 25 to 30 MCQs on life processes. So yes, please go through both my sessions of the MCQs on life processes. And to understand the MCQs better, I would suggest you all to please first go through our theory lectures, all the theory sessions which are present on our YouTube channel of Empower Tutorials. So do like, share and subscribe the channel so that you have access to all our theory as well as MCQ lectures. Okay, so stay tuned with the channel, stay tuned with my lectures, and I will see you all back soon. Bye-bye.